yeah, that character, Francis, I had two schools of thought with him. Number one, Farouk, sorry, Jesus. I don't know what my voice just did there.
I don't know. It's news to me.
Hit it.
They're here.
Don't cross the streams.
Bueller.
I'll have what she's having.
Great Scott!
Why did it have to be snakes?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Bueller.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
I'll be back. I am your father.
Bueller.
I feel the need for A, for C.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to the Silver Screen Sisters.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing good. You know, how are you?
I'm doing good. Just in case people don't know, yesterday for us in real time was Christmas. So it's the end of 2021.
End of
We've
2021.
been running the marathon. And yeah, Christmas was good.
Good.
We have, the boys, they got a lot of presents.
Oh, yes.
I got to watch all the joy. There's Lego pieces everywhere in my house.
Oh my God, watch out for your feet.
And Hot Wheels, so
Oh, God.
yes. Lots of ABCs for the little one. So yeah, all around it was successful.
Good.
How was yours? How are you doing?
It was really good. I went over to my sister-in-law's house. They made cinnamon rolls. We opened presents. We ate too many cookies and dip and had turkey. And just, I felt very connected to the family this time. And I thought it was really awesome. And, then the snow started hitting last night just before we got home. And I'm really grateful to be home while it's Snowpocalypse 2021 in the Seattle area. So, yeah.
I'm glad you had a good Christmas, and we're ready for the New Year's, and
Yep.
we're going to be watching movies all the way through it.
All the way through. Every week, a new movie.
Perfect.
Well, let's go ahead and jump on in. What do you want to start by talking about the movie, what we watched and stuff?
Yeah, so last time we pulled our ticket and we watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yay!
So that was really fun. We, as you know, we didn't watch a lot of 80s movies.
Nope.
So this one that we picked, I felt like we were, do we want to watch this movie? I wasn't very excited.
I do need to apologize for my reaction because I had preconceived notions and I wasn't looking forward to it. But now, I'm like, okay, yeah, it was actually not bad. So we'll go more into it a little bit later.
So
but yeah.
what were first off, Pee-wee, oh gosh, where do we even start? This was a whole culture shock. People were so into it. It's an adult acting like a 5-year-old, and I appreciate it because I have a 5-year-old.
But yeah, my first initial was I saw Tim Burton's. Well, first the music was playing. I'm like, okay, this is catchy. This sounds actually kind of familiar. And I had this moment I was like, hark, I know this somehow. I just know the music. I don't remember hearing the music before, but there's a signature with every composer, really. And you can kind of just tell who they are. Just like you can tell who the singer is of a certain song. You just hear it and you know it. So, first of all, Tim Burton's name came across, and I had no idea that this was directed by Tim Burton. Not a clue. And I stopped, and I went, no. What? But, and then, right after I saw Tim Burton, then the music clicked, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
This is Danny Elfman. I know it's Danny Elfman, and I there's very characteristic things that he does in his music scores. Mm-hmm. How did I not know that this was a Tim Burton, Danny Elfman movie, which I would normally be all over for?
Well, wasn't it Tim Burton's first?
Maybe. Did you look that up?
I feel like I want to say I read it was Tim Burton's first big film.
Oh, that makes so much more sense now. That makes a lot more sense. But anyway, enough about the music.
Yes. So I have to tell you my initial start to this.
Yes.
I put it on. Cody comes down the stairs. He's like, what are you watching? And it was like nostalgia for him because he grew up on this movie and I had no idea. He didn't know I was watching it. He was like, I can't believe you're watching this. He sat down and the biggest smile on his face, and I knew it must be good. Because
that's so sweet.
Because he liked it.
That is so sweet.
At first, I was like, are they making fun of somebody who's
Autistic.
Autistic, yes.
Yeah, that's what I first thought it too, but the longer I watched, it was more apparent that maybe that's not the case. But I'm not sure.
Right. Well, after I said that, I was like, could it have been like misinterpreted as something bad? Because I thought that's why maybe we didn't watch it. But it's actually about an adult as a 5-year-old. So it's very child based.
I loved that. I really did, because to me it felt like, yes, you can be an adult. You are physically an adult, but you don't have to lose touch with your childlike self ever. To me, when it first started, we're being introduced to Pee-wee, I thought it was like the coolest thing to see his routine, the things that he was doing, his house and all of this stuff. It seemed like just a child's dream to be in that house.
It was like watching Asher wake up.
Yeah, I was like, I want to be in that house and have like giant forks and knives to eat my breakfast with and have one of those. There's a name for them, those inventions that cook your breakfast for you or whatever. But it's just such a childlike
feeling.
Yeah.
But also like comical for adults.
Right. I made a note, like the first thing he does when he gets out of bed is starts to lift weights. Like, okay, like he lifted like one weight or whatever, and all I could think of was, you know what? If Pee Wee Herman can get out of bed and start exercising, I have no excuse. So thank you, Pee Wee Herman, for the motivation to get my butt exercising. Anyway.
I really liked how he was eating Mr. T cereal.
I pity the poor fool! Don't eat my cereal!
But yeah, after he starts eating this cereal, I was like, I'm looking at Asher as he's like chewing the dry cereal. The faces, everything about it was hilarious. Cody and I were just laughing all the way through it.
I'm really interested, like, to hear more about how you were interpreting this movie, because you are a mom of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I am obviously not.
Right. Well, and yes, that's the thing I was thinking about too. If you don't have kids and you didn't grow up on this movie, I feel like those people might not like it. Who knows? Maybe they have a good sense of humor and stuff, but I feel like a lot of people that don't have kids probably wouldn't like this. However, if you grew up on it, I feel like you'll like it. Cody and I laughed so hard through this, and he brought up, because I didn't even think of this, but it was like the end of a different era, kind of like the comedy of Chaplin.
Yep.
So it was like this clown kind of funny silliness.
Slapsticky.
The slapstick in this movie was phenomenal.
Yes, it was. It so was. It was just a different era. I felt like, to me, like, obviously I don't have kids, and I never grew up with this movie. I remember, like, normally I at least can remember the music to a movie, but this one was not ringing any bells, so I know I've never seen it. And you're right. Like, to me, it was a little different in the sense that, like, I don't have kids and I don't have experience with kids very much to liken this to. The only experience I have is your kids, and I only get down there every so often. But to me, it very much felt like Looney Tunes, like the old cartoons, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and the Warner Brother cartoons, like Animaniacs or the Flintstones, Bugs Bunny. Like, that's exactly what it felt like. Plus the humor of it. And there was enough adult humor in there for me to be like, whoa, Pee-wee.
Just in case for anybody listening, if you haven't seen this movie, you should go watch it.
Yes.
It's amazing. There will be some spoilers.
I had no idea what to expect about the movie because I didn't even read the synopsis about it. I just jumped into it. And suddenly we're in the Tour de France, and I'm like, okay, with all this goofy music happening. And these guys are very serious athletes. And suddenly Pee-wee's coming along on his little amazing bike with his full suit attire. And I'm like, very believable. This got to be a dream.
Well, I'm glad you figured that one out.
It was really funny. I loved that part because it was just like, Yeah, kids have their dreams and they want to be able to do the things that they may not be big enough to do yet. And I thought it was very sweet and very fun. The entire house. What did you think about the house?
Dude, the house was awesome. Okay, so this is basically, this whole movie was very simple. It shows you where he is, what the goal is. We see the house. It's awesome. He's got a fire pole. He goes down it, makes his breakfast, has his time. He goes outside. There is stuff everywhere, including Santa and his reindeer on the top of his house. And for a moment, he sees his neighbor, and he's, like, yelling at him, like, I'm going to water now. And the thing he turns on, I have one of those in my backyard for the kid that just splashes everywhere. And I was laughing so hard. Again, Cody and I, we just laughed at a lot in this movie. And even, like, seeing the bike at that moment, going out to it, and, like, how shiny it is.
Like, buried in the hedges, secret room that he stores it
Right.
in. I was like, what kid did not want a little secret room like that? Like, even like Dexter's laboratory, it was in a secret space under his house or whatever. I don't even remember. But that's one thing that kids and even adults who remember that feeling. We've always wanted a secret lair.
Yes. I would have loved to see this as a child, because the things that they see, the things that he saw, and then, like, there were things further down where he was like, okay, I did not see that when I was a child, because you don't. They're adult things. Much like Shrek. But anyway.
Yes, that's... Like, there were some parts, like, even later on in the movie where it got very Tim Burton-y, like, when, like, he's using claymation stuff, like It gets a little weird, because it's Tim Burton. He's just a little weird.
But it's not as weird as his other stuff.
No, it's not. But it would have, like, been enough to freak me out and maybe, like, forget that part of the movie or something. You know what else I noticed about even just the inside and the outsides of the house and all of the things is that he's still an adult. Think about the engineering mind he must need to have created all of that as an adult. Because even kids struggle with creating, like, any kid probably wouldn't have been able to create one of those breakfast making invention machines that he had, or even have a secret room buried in his hedges.
You were really thinking that deep into this movie? I'm, like, just curious, really? Because I was like, there's no way that's possible. No way can somebody do all that stuff and act like that child.
Even, like, later on, as he's going through this adventure, you realize that he does have his limits, but he also has that childlike imagination that anything is possible, just the belief that anything is possible. And maybe that's enough. Who knows, man?
Yes. He got his bike back.
He went across the country or whatever. Where did he start?
I want to say he was in California, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
So maybe he made it halfway through. Moving on, before we get to the good part of his bike, being stolen. We know the story, guys. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But before it gets stolen, we find Francis, right? That's his name? The guy who potentially, quote unquote, steals the bike because he's leaving his house, and this it's not nice to say, but like a butterball blonde dude, he's like comes up and I don't know. I know that sounds terrible,
funny,
but
though.
he was. But that's like, he's like he's well off, he's rich, he's like, I get whatever I want, I could buy your bike. We were laughing so hard at this and their exchange of, I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? And I'm glad Asher was in bed before that was happening because I would have never heard the end of it.
That is so funny. Oh my God. That character, Francis, I had two schools of thought with him. Number one, Veruca Salt. That's who he was to me.
Who?
Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then the second part was I could only think of Deadpool. So, like, damn you, Ryan Reynolds, for making the bad guy's name Francis, and suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking spell it for you. Like, that's all I could think of the entire time anytime I saw Francis on the screen. I was like, ooh, where's Deadpool?
I'd feel better if I thought of Deadpool. This character bugged me. So, after we get a glimpse of the bad guy, if you will,
The antagonist.
right, and Pee-wee just goes on his merry way. I just love how the beginning of this whole movie had us like rolling in tears because he's like just doing the tricks, and then he like just somersaults over his bike.
And I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I loved it when he like fell off his bike and he looks at all the kids and he's like, I meant to do that.
His weird voice, I thought that would be more annoying, but you get so used to it.
I know. I don't understand how, like, the laugh. I'm not going to attempt to try it. I already made a fool of myself trying to make impressions or impersonations of people in Little Shop of Horrors. I'm done.
Now it's my turn. Well, Cody did say he wished somebody looked at him like Pee-wee looked at his bike, and I went, ha to him. And I laughed even harder after I did that.
Yeah. I was going to say, don't you look at him that way? I mean, you should.
Well, that's why I laughed like Pee-wee.
There you go.
And now he's my bike.
I love it. He's your bike. Oh, my God. Wow.
You said it. I am so sorry, but not really. So moving onward through the story, what does he do? He goes, I love when he sees Dottie and that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I do note that he's, getting his horn at the bike shop from this girl Dottie, and she really wants to hang out with him. And is this why our generation of boys have this, like, we all have to be funny, but also dramatic? Like, Dottie wanted to go on a date with him, and he's like, no, Dottie, I'm a loner.
You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Dottie. A rebel.
I think it was more a commentary on what movies were doing at the time, because there were a lot of protagonists that were like that. Like, think of Harrison Ford in Blade Runner, for example. He was very troubled protagonist, and that was just kind of like all of those serious movies had very troubled protagonists that needed to be like the cool silent type. I mean, even go back to like Steve McQueen movies or whatever, very cool and calm and mysterious type of thing. And so he was just the juxtaposition of him being like the cool and mysterious person versus being just a child and ridiculous, and that laugh, not very like that's pure comedy gold right there, I think.
I like when they bring it back with deja vu.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get back to that. So you established characters. You got Dottie.
Mm-hmm. I liked her a lot.
Everybody loves Pee-wee Herman. Mm-hmm. It's just a fucking weird thing about this town. By the end of it, you really get it. Like, he is the main character and people love him.
Yep.
And it's such a real view of how people see children. Mm-hmm. Asher, everyone around Asher is like, oh, he's so sweet and wonderful.
Yes.
And I'm like, he does things. Like, he went into the neighbor's house and wrestled the boy in his bathtub. No, but no, like, that's fine. It's okay. You know what I mean? Because Pee-wee does do things where he shouldn't be that likable. Mm-hmm. But can we talk about that Francis scene?
Oh, can I talk about the fact that I really want that bathroom or that bathtub? Yes. I just want to swim in that bathtub every day. That'd be great. But yeah, the whole thing was ridiculous.
You want to buy my bike, Francis?
What would I do with that? Oh, really? I can have any bike in the world.
Ha-ha! You don't want it anymore because you already have it. Tell me where it is before I lose patience with you, Francis. Ow! Ow!
Okay. So basically, the bike gets stolen, right? Mm-hmm. And Pee-wee has a freaking heart attack.
Melt down.
A horn attack. He runs into he runs back into the bike shop, and he's like, Dottie! And he collapses. The ambulance are there. It's like, somebody help him. And he's like, we're wasting time. It was just so funny.
That was a very interesting dichotomy also about being a child versus being an adult.
So dramatic.
A 5-year-old would absolutely be like, that dramatic.
Meltdown. Yeah.
Down. But as an adult, they're like, no, bring the ambulance. And then the ambulance workers or paramedics are just like, dude, you're fine.
And so he's sad, walks around, goes to the police station where he gets his first, like they help him, but he's also like, the law doesn't help me. I have to do this on my own. But they were like, did anybody want the bike? He was like, everyone wants it. In fact, today someone wanted to buy it. Q and Francis. So his walk up to the house and the dramatic knocking, such a child move. Like so dramatic. So.
What 5-year-old would actually think that? Would Asher do that?
Well, honestly, this is why this movie's brilliant. I could see Asher going over there, trying to break in, get into the bathroom, and being like, you stole it, and wrestle him. They're like wrestling and doing flips in the water. And this huge, okay, you guys, it's not a regular bathtub. It's like a huge pool.
It's a pool. And like Pee Wee Herman's wearing a full suit while doing this.
And when his dad comes in and he's like, what's happening? Like the part where Francis was like, I didn't steal it, honest. And Pee Wee was like, I'm sorry, we don't have to get the law involved, do we? Staring his dad down, up and down. And he was like, no, kids do that all the time, like get out of trouble and then right back into it. Like, here's gum. Do you want a piece? It's just such a kid thing. True. So I laughed really hard at that one.
That's really, the more I'm talking to you about this and the more I'm learning about just how much effort and research and thinking that went into the character of Pee Wee Herman. Like,
yes.
Wow.
Extensive child research for sure.
Especially for an adult comedian to go backwards and really think about what a child is like. That's very difficult to do, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the 80s when we were all about suppressing.
Dude, preach.
Yeah, we were like Gen X, early millennials. We're all about suppressing our emotions in our childhood and all of the things. So, yeah, I think it was genius that he just went back there and said, no, I'm going to do this, and I think it's going to be funny. And by God, he was right.
We should use this for therapy.
Oh. Sorry,
this is
guys.
Such a therapeutic. No, for reals though. I love it. Okay. Pee Wee, his reward money.
Yeah.
He starts off like, where is it? Francis don't have it. He puts up flyers for $10,000 reward. And Dottie's like, where are you going to get that money? And he's like, obviously who stole it would return it, so they don't deserve an award.
That
like
was
the
funny.
way he is such a child throughout all this.
It was very funny because like he would make comments like that and I'm like, that's not how that works. And that's exactly what's
For
funny
a
about it.
5-year-old, it's exactly how it works.
So yeah, I thought that and that thing like happens throughout the whole movie. Like he'll do something and you are constantly thinking, would an adult or a child do that? And you're constantly like going back and forth between the two worlds. And I think it's great. It's very interesting that way. It could have been a very boring movie.
But they worked it.
They did.
Like the next scene that I'm thinking about is, so as an adult, I would get my friends together to talk about who stole my bike. What a child would do is put them all in a basement for 3 hours and question everything, including, he says something, I bought a pen in 1 hour before my bike was stolen. Why? What's the significance? I don't know. That's a child.
Yeah.
Or ADHD symptoms, but more so a child.
Yeah. Hyper focus. And then, could see everybody just deflating in the basement like it's too hot, we're bored, like, come on, dude. And he's just not understanding why nobody cares as much as he does, which is exactly what a child would say, like, think.
You've gone over something again and again and again and again!
And so I thought, like, seeing him just get so defeated almost immediately right after that basement scene, and he starts walking around in the rain and the dark, like a dark night boo-hoo moment.
He almost became an adult right there.
Yeah, it was a very real reaction. Just more drama. Kids are people too.
Right.
They're just not as good at regulating some emotions and thoughts and that kind of stuff yet. But they are still very human and very his feelings were very valid in that moment, even though it was very dramatic.
I like how you say, you know, he's human as the walking in the rain scene. Like, people are trying to jump him and he hisses at them. He's all... I laughed so hard.
I laughed so hard at that point. I thought it was the funniest thing.
I mean, for storytelling, it's following the outline. Like, you got your beginning, we got development characters, what's happening, and now we're transitioning to, like, taking it into his own hands. This is where he actually does the tarot reading. That was amazing because it is mostly a scam. I think it's fun to have, like, your tarot cards, and I believe there's something out there in the universe that you can, you know, use them right. But when you go to those places and they're like, you know, $50, I'll tell you everything. Why am I here? Because you want something.
Because you want something. Why else would I be here?
It can be very scammy. So I just loved how they put this in here. So this beautiful lady tells him that his bike is at the Alamo in the basement.
Yeah.
Which I was like, cool. And then was like, wait a minute. But cool.
So,
yeah.
My thought is maybe the real antagonist was the psychic. Cause
my mind is blown now. I'm all scam, but he did get his bike back.
So, like...
Stop it.
So she just misled him, and now he has to go on this, like, major adventure, very dangerous adventure for somebody like him, all because she lied. And, like, she's the one who was the bad person and got him into this mess, and now he has to... I just love it, because there's, like, multiple bad things happening at the same time. It's the perfect storm. But, yeah.
Beautiful.
So, like, of course, he would do what any other normal kid would do and just pack up his stuff into a little bag and hitchhike. The whole bit with him and the bad guy.
I really did love this scene. It was terribly amazing. In context, too, when he gets picked up, it's from, you know, Mickey, sorry.
Mickey.
When he gets picked up, it's from Mickey. And again, that slapstick comedy where it's like they're writing, oh, let's turn on the radio, and it's like killer on the loose. Okay, you know, forget the music.
Yep. The police were stopping all of the cars on the road to check and see if it was Mikey, and then Pee-wee was like, oh, by the way, I have these random ass costumes.
What's going on, officer?
We're looking for an escaped convict, ma'am.
We heard all about it on the radio. Right, honey?
Have you seen this man?
Boy, I've seen better heads on boils.
He dresses up in a cute little dress, wears a wig, puts glasses, a beard on Mickey. They get past the point. As a kid, it's like someone playing dress up. They got away. But as an adult, I noticed things like the cop was like, get out of the car. I just wanted to see how good you look.
Yeah.
Those little things where,
I know,
as an adult in the time, super hilarious. As an adult now, Cody and I were like, did not recognize that. Now we're laughing for different reasons, you know?
Yeah, because it's nowadays, I think that joke aged really well because either really well or really bad. It depends on your point of view.
Exactly.
But, like, to me, being female and knowing that that's a pretty inappropriate thing, I felt like the movie was kind of pointing that out, how inappropriate it was. Not just because he was dressed up as a woman, but he was also a kid.
Yeah,
like he's a child.
Well, also, fun fact that you, like, because you said that, obviously these two go away. They're driving in the middle of the night. Pee-wee's driving. They get in a crash. They part ways, right? And
the crash!
Dude, that was so funny. And
the parachute!
But at the end of the crash, he's like, get out, Pee-wee. Like, you can't be with me. I'm a loner, Pee-wee, a rebel. And he's all deja vu moment. So it was kind of showing that, like, hey, you've done this to a woman, and now how's it feel to be done to you? So
that was really funny. I loved that.
I did, too. It was magical moments for sure, this whole movie.
So I think that now he gets to the
So, okay, so...
Oh, no.
It's the middle of the night, so we go... Because he's traveling more, and so he gets picked up by a truck driver. Which is another thing, I think, at the time. Like, scary stories, ghost stories.
Freaked me out once it got to the end before he gets into the bar. That classic Timber and Claymation creepy face Beetlejuice moment. Ugh.
I did not like that. And he was like, okay, bye.
And when they finally pulled the driver's body from the twisted, burning wreck, it looked like this.
I like how he told them, and then basically the guy said the same story back.
Large Marge sent me.
Did you say Large Marge?
She just dropped me off.
That's impossible. Large Marge? She's...
It was 10 years ago, on a night just like tonight. Why, tonight's the anniversary. Worst accident I ever seen.
But that means the Large Marge I was riding with was...
Her ghost.
And then it had a Shining feel to it, like The Shining. It had a picture of her, like all the feels.
How is Pee-wee such a ladies' man?
Because he does his dishes. That's why. No.
Well, like, suddenly he's, like, washing dishes and getting to know this waitress in the back. Simone. I forgot. Yeah, Simone. Like, and she's like, I want to live in the city of eternal love. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Yes. By the way, when Simone and him first started talking, like, it's a beautiful conversation, but it starts with her being like, do you dream? And he was like, yeah, I was rolling out a donut and a snake with a vest showed up. And she's like, no, not that kind of dream. Like, you know, I don't know why that was so funny to me.
It was really funny, though, because it's like, obviously, if you were to talk to Asher first thing in the morning, he'd be like, oh, I was dreaming and I was rolling out a donut. And, you know, he would tell you all these random dreams, probably.
Oh, yeah. We've heard some wonderful stories from Asher.
But, like, at the same time, the very beginning of the movie was his dream to ride the Tour de France. Like, he loves his bike. That's a dream.
Does she know she contributed to his next dream of, like, a T-Rex killing his bike, by the way?
Oh.
Did you not notice that?
I didn't. Oh. Okay. That's funny.
Well, after, you know, not sleeping all night, and I think it was Andy.
Well, I mean, obviously he was being chased down by, like, the biggest man on the planet, aside from Andre the Giant.
Yes, because Simone's man was outside. Again, very weird. But anywho's, he runs, jumps on the train, has a dream. Real quick, the next, like, 1 minute scene on the train with the other guy. So relatable.
So random.
You say random, I say relatable. You've got like 5-year-old kid, you know, they get so like into things. So they're singing, they're like, yeah. And then after so long, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he's like holding his ears and he's like, I'd rather just jump off a train. Like, kids are that dramatic.
Well, that's actually really funny because with the ADHD, that kind of is what it feels like. So yeah, you're right. It is relatable. But I also felt like it was just so random because I've never been.
How else was he gonna get to the Alamo?
Fair, like, yeah. So he makes it to the Alamo. I like how polite he is too, because he raises his hand and the tour guide is like, "Nope, we take questions at the end," and he's just patient and quiet the entire time.
That's because his mom has told him 15 times if he so much as makes a peep, he will get in trouble. So I don't know why he was so good at holding his tongue, but you know, whatever.
Okay, are there any questions?
Where's the basement?
Excuse me?
Aren't we going to see the basement?
There's no basement at the Alamo.
We're getting to the good part.
Yes, we're getting into some good stuff. So now he's like stuck in Texas.
Yes, he calls Dottie to first apologize to her, but then to also get a bus ticket. So again, another thing, like as a child to a mother, maybe, I'm sorry, can I have candy? I'm sorry, I love you, can I have my game? Like, it's just one of those, like, I'm sorry, I need help.
I still do that as an adult. I'm sorry for existing and being a pain right now, but can I do this or can you do this?
But see, that's so you got to stop doing that.
Yeah, I do.
Because you're fine. You're the adult now. As a child, wanting ice cream at 9 a.m., that's where it's a little different.
But, you know, like Pee Wee Herman could do it, right?
That's true, but don't give my kids ideas. They're not listening to this podcast. Okay, so we are at the bus stop. We see Simone again. This is her. She's off to Paris. She's doing it. She's living her dream. And you can too. Yeah. She's like, you can too,
Like,
Pee-wee.
the handkerchief out of the window over the bus.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yes, live your dream, girl. Do it.
And Andy, I think it's Andy. We're going to call him Andy. You know, her giant ex-boyfriend is there too late for the bus. And then he sees Pee-wee. And that's like the jump into the next scene of, like, he breaks in and he dresses up as a
cowboy.
Next up is a local favorite, number 9, Lloyd Fletcher, riding Volcano.
That's you, cousin.
Uh-oh.
And away he goes.
And so seeing Pee-wee waltz out there, strut out there in full cowboy regalia, and then just magically hop onto a bull and stay on the darn thing for... That's like, no. That doesn't happen.
I think
so
it's just
awesome.
it's so beautiful how it's like it's his face, and then obviously the person on the bull is a real person, and just the whole
But it was
back
also
and
like, you
forth.
could tell that the bull, that whoever it was sitting on it, was the mechanical bull and not a real bull.
Yes.
It was like, I mean, if I were Tim Burton, it fits with the whole thing of the movie. It's just like, it's believable but unbelievable at the same time. And why not have a mechanical bull? Because it's funny.
Right. Obviously, it's not funny though because he gets knocked out at the end of it.
Yeah.
That part was like, okay, because realistically,
Ouch.
it shouldn't be funny, but this is made to be comical, and I laughed too hard.
It was, again, slapstick. I mean, think about it. Like, how many times did the Three Stooges legit hurt themselves, but we all laughed about it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the joy of that kind of comedy. And so, yeah, I laughed, but it can be very dangerous to be on a bull for even a second.
Right.
So,
but did you also, I have to ask, did you also laugh when, like, he came to and they were like, do you remember, like, something? And he's like, I don't remember. Yeah, what do you remember? The Alamo. And damn slapstick.
I laughed so hard. I was like, A+. That's great. Great writing.
There's a lot of good writing in this.
This is definitely, by this point in the movie, I was like, I'm in. I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. I think this is going to be a theme for the rest of the podcast. I'm just going to be wrong forever. And then I'm really going to enjoy a lot of these movies.
There'll be times when we're right. We won't want to be. But
we won't want to be, but yeah.
All right. Moving on. I feel like we're pretty close to... So I was thinking he was at the movie set. We weren't there yet, because now I have the biker club.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have
so when he woke up...
The biker club.
Yeah,
and they were called the Satan's Helpers.
I wonder what that was in reference to.
So, like, they had Satan's Helpers.
Can we say that? Or is somebody going to come after us? I'm just kidding.
I don't think
I'm totally
so.
Kidding. I think you have to really piss him off like Pee Wee Herman did. with their bikes and shit. I don't know how you get out of a situation by tapping in some shoes, but...
I mean, if I could, I would.
Thanks a lot, dude.
I hope you find your bike, man.
This scene with the Satan's helpers really just emphasized how likable Pee Wee Herman is.
Yes.
Like, I hate it. I love it and I hate it. Because it's like one of those things, like, I wanted to hate it, but I can't.
You really can't.
Yeah, you can't.
I love how they send him away on a bike like he knew how to ride a bike.
And then he immediately crashes. Yes. And now he has a full motorcycle escort with him in an ambulance or whatever, right? What was he in? Yeah.
I think it was an ambulance. So the whole point is he's in this bar. He gets in trouble. He gets out of trouble. He's got friends, but he still manages to hurt himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally a kid.
It is a kid.
Like
it is a kid. You can give him everything that he needs to succeed at what he's trying to do, and things just still don't work out. And that actually is a thing for both kids and adults.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It just sucks more when you're an adult.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, yeah.
You don't get that kind of help as an adult because you're probably doing something stupid.
So I felt like this next little bit when Pee Wee Herman's like stuck in all of these dreams for a minute is where Tim Burton really shines as his creative, weird self. When he was when he was knocked out or whatever, didn't he have like some...
Well, it's with the clowns. So they were getting ready to tear up his bike.
That's right. And I felt like that was a very Tim Burton-esque amazing part. We should really ask Erin if this is where she gets scared of clowns.
Well, Cody remembers this part.
Oof.
And every dream that he came to is like, is this the one? And I think it is definitely more embedded in some people's brains. Right now I didn't pull any lines. I laughed because he's an adult. It's a dream, but kids really do get scared of things like that. Like Asher will watch something and run in the other room. It's too scary.
Oh yeah.
He'll play Plants vs. Zombies and almost die, and he has to run away. It's too scary.
Oh, now that's adorable.
I'm like, that's cute. But then he'll also go around and be like, I'll punch you in your face. So kids are just very all over the place.
They really are.
Like Pee-wee is. So, well, anyways, after his scare dream.
And magically, he's in California.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, there was just a jump, and I don't know.
So, okay.
I can't remember how he got there.
Did they drive him in an ambulance all the way to California?
I'm going to choose to believe that is true. Can you imagine that an ambulance bill? Yeah.
Right. Well, anyways, transferring to his hospital bed in California. Like, what do you do during that time? You watch TV. What do you see on a TV? You see a bike. What was the question is, what was the commercial, or was it a television show? What was the commercial about, and how was he seeing it in real time?
That's a really good question.
Like, you record it before, and then it was like, I see this on the TV, and then he shows up to them recording it.
Right. That is so funny. I never even put that together. I think at this point, I just suspended my disbeliefs of everything. So he arrives at the studio, steals his bike back. But then, like, as he gets his bike, he starts racing through all of the studios, all of the different things that are being filmed, all of everything. And that was fun, because that gives you another perspective of what it might be like, number one, in Hollywood, but number two, from the point of view as a kid.
Going back to this dramatic devastation of the whole... He just blows it all up. Everyone's crashing, everyone's chasing him. He gets out, and then all of a sudden a store's on fire. A vet. An animal store. Animal shelter. Like some sort of animal store.
Yeah, an animal store, pet shop or something.
And so he gets his bike back, and it's happy, but it's short-lived because there's animals stuck in a burning building. And he goes in and he rescues them.
He stops everything and rescues helpless animals. Like, there's no greater thing in my mind other, of helping each other's humanity and society and stuff like that. But, like, animals to me are also just as important because I'm that kind of person.
Even those snakes?
Even those snakes. But
just throwing him out there. He's like, last thing he grabs. Blah. That's like me and insects. So we've got two things here. We've got him making a big-ass mess and then him being a hero. So obviously the right thing to do is make a movie of him. Like, that's what happened, right? Because they were like, oh, we're so mad at you.
I know, the producer or whoever just starts saying, we would like to make a movie of your story. But literally, like, a second before that, Pee-wee was like, I can explain the whole thing. Like, the producer didn't know at all what the story was about. And then literally the next second, he's like, but we want to make a movie out of it. I'm like, but does he know the story? Like, what is it?
Now he does.
Now he does. I just love...
Again, a kid's mind.
Yes. See? I just love it. Like, the fake... Not the fake movie. The movie they made based on Pee-wee's story. Just total James Bond vibes. He's a badass. I loved it.
Who is that? James Brolin?
Was that... What? The actor?
Like the guy... yeah, because they got real people. Let me look it up.
Oh my God.
Or real people. They put, like, actors... And I think with their real names as the
that's cool.
real people.
That's really cool, though.
But yeah, Morgan Fairchild and James Brolin.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Is that in any relation to Josh Brolin?
I don't fucking know. Who's Josh Brolin?
Oh,
okay,
he's
you know
Thanos.
You know Beyond Belief?
Oh,
Fact or
yeah.
Fiction?
Mm-hmm.
That's James Brolin, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember him? Or that show where he was like fact or fiction? That's James Brolin.
I think I'm thinking of the guy in Star Trek.
You would have to look it up.
Hold on, James
I honestly
Brolin.
don't. I just found his name, so I don't know any other Brolins.
Okay, so yeah, James Brolin is an American actor. No, it doesn't look like he is related to Josh Brolin, who plays the bad guy in the second Deadpool movie, Cable.
Oh, okay.
And he also plays Thanos in the Avengers movies. It doesn't look like they're related. If we're wrong, go ahead and correct us. We don't care.
Or who cares? Because I thought that was pretty cool that that they had big actors at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume at that time because he moved down the totem pole when I was watching Fact or Fiction. Come on now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Because that was you remember that show or no?
I do remember the show, but
Okay.
I think I really started getting into like Ripley's Believe It or Not, right?
Kind of like that, yeah, where it gives you 5 stories and you say which one's true or false, and they were ghost stories.
Yes.
Which takes me back to the trucker scene.
Oh my God.
I wonder if that was a true story.
That's funny.
And he would say stupid puns like, was this just a trucker's dream? Or was it?
Oh, I love it.
You know,
yes, that's true. That's true.
I watched that so much as a child. That's probably why I don't do scary movies anymore.
Have you got any messages for room 104? The name's Herman. P.W. Herman.
No, nothing right now, Mr. Herman.
I'll be in the bar.
That was wonderful. This was all around a great movie.
I like it. I was waiting for you to get set up for today, and I started playing it on my computer, and just hearing the music when the credits are going, I'm like, I'm already happy. I'm already enjoying this, and it put me in the right frame of mind to record this today, so I thought that was pretty cool.
What would you rate the movie?
I would rate it 8.5. Huh? Let's do 8.5. Let's be generous today.
That's very generous of you.
What about you? What would you rate it?
I want to say a solid 9.
Wow.
It was pretty wonderful for a mom of 2 kids whose inner child still needs like severe TLC. Yes, that's it. Severe TLC. Give it to me.
I think from that perspective, I agree. I feel like as an adult who has been working on connecting with her inner child more, which I know is kind of silly if you know me and how ridiculous and silly I already am, just being able to, I feel like this movie gives you permission to do so.
Yeah.
In a way that I think it can be a very vulnerable feeling to try to connect with your inner child again and be childlike in certain ways. But this movie just like reassures you that it all works out. You'll have your Satan's helpers along the way.
Yes.
My question for you now is, do you think they could remake a movie like this? And if they did, like, what would need to change about it?
I think no. I think too many people have something they're offended by. And even us going into it, like, I was like, are they making fun of people for being mentally challenged? Or I don't know the proper way to say that. But, like, again, I don't want to offend people. So I think too many people would have offense to this. And depending on... I mean, we all have... There's so many people in this world. We have so many different subdivisions. I feel like this could be recreated, but also it wouldn't be as great as it was. And they tried that.
It would lose some magic.
To my knowledge, after this came out, it turned into the TV show, selling a whole bunch of toys and whatnot, and it was a whole franchise. And I think you lose it after a while. So I think they should not make it again, and we should stick to the original and have it for the rest of time.
Agreed. And I think it's an interesting time we live in right now because everybody's so... And it's not a bad thing that everybody... Like, I feel like people are well within their rights to be as sensitive as they want to things that they've experienced.
I think people should be their own people, and it could be whatever. Yeah,
and that's where the in my not professional opinion, I feel like it's where people start imposing their own fears and their own traumas and their own desires onto other people and dictating what can and cannot be made. It can be really we're just in a weird flux period, whatever that word is.
Flex period. Like, ooh, I'm a weird flex.
An author.
Who are you?
But it's it would be very challenging to make a movie like this today just because of some of those things that maybe they weren't worried about so much. Now, granted, I think they did a good job with what they did. I don't think anybody nowadays, if they watched it, would be all that offended, but that might be my own narrow-ish worldview. I don't know. But
email us. Tell us what you think, because we don't know.
Tell us what you think. And we will... we absolutely are planning on doing listener stories. So,
we'll
send
see.
us.
I'm just kidding.
We want to know what your experience with this movie has been. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you like Tim Burton? Do you like Danny Elfman? Do you like the producers? Do you like any of it? Do you hate all of it? Like, we want to know. Our email address is connect@silverscreensisters.com. And we'll have that in the show notes as well in case you missed that. We also have a website, the silverscreensisters.com. Well,
work in progress.
Not the. It's just silverscreensisters.com.
Yes, that is silverscreensisters.com. Is that a good podcast voice? Is that like does that work for the end?
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
I'm trying to work on how I sound, how I feel behind the mic. I also want to stop mumbling because I've noticed I do that.
I've noticed that you're sounding great this episode, and I want to say thank you for kind of taking the lead on where we're going with this episode as well, because that made me feel a lot better too.
What? You're too kind to a sister. You're welcome. I don't know what I did, but I'm here.
I love it. I just love it all.
My voice is trying to go. So I think right now is the time to pick the next movie.
I think you're right. Oh God, I'm so nervous. Why do I get so nervous about this?
Nervous?
I don't know. It's just
because
a movie.
It's because our is what we already think about these movies.
Exactly, just like with Pee-wee's
Right.
Big Adventure, yeah.
So I'm going to challenge myself to not wait until the night before we talk to watch this movie.
And I don't know if it would be better to do that or not because of what we remember. But maybe it is a good idea to wait.
I feel like there's good notes, too. If you have the good notes, or I don't know what you said with fucking, I don't know. If you have good notes,
like, what does
it
that
should
mean?
help us. All right. Are we ready for this?
All right. Yeah, let's go. Rip the Band-Aid.
We have... It's called Beat Street 1984. Have the
Beat
phones at the ready.
Street.
Let's look it up. See, we don't even know it, do we?
1984?
Yes.
I have never heard of this.
Street. Let's see here. Okay. So we'll probably dig it. Or won't.
I like it.
Whatever.
All right.
We'll love it
All
or
right.
rag it.
Who's starring in it? Do you know? Did you look at it or anything?
These names I don't really know.
That's fine.
Because one person looks familiar, but again, the 80s. So, all right. So Beat Street, 1984, you guys, you better go watch it.
You better go watch it. You can't let us do this by ourselves. Come on.
And then we'll be here next week for you to listen and
next week
tell us what you think about the movie. If you want to email us beforehand too, that's cool. I'll take facts on Beat Street. That sounded bad. On the Beat Street. Maybe it's just me. But
maybe it's just you because I didn't think it was bad, but I thought that was pretty funny.
But I get it, like the Beat Street, like music.
Yeah.
Give me a beat.
Oh, yes.
Okay, I have to stop now. I hope the music is good. Otherwise, next review is going to be pretty terrible.
It's going to be an interesting podcast. All right, we'll tune in next week.
Yeah, we are the Silver Screen Sisters, and we love you.
Bye. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, check out our website at silverscreensisters.com. Silver Screen Sisters 80s edition is hosted by Billy and Sophie. Editing is done by Sophie, and cover art was done by Billy, with special illustration work done by Bacencia. Intro and outro music composed by Future Mono, and hold music composed by the Mini Vandals. This is a Silver Screen Sisters production and is powered by Coffee and Yoga Pants.